Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Codeman Movies. Life's been getting a little bit busier, my ankle's getting slightly better, so I have been able to go to work this week and do some computer work. It's been very boring, but I've been able to go back to work, so a little less time to watch movies, but still have a whole bunch of movies to talk about. I don't have any liquids with me. I wouldn't be able to have liquids anyway. I'm still not drinking alcohol until this ankle is completely healed. I also had a massage today. They say you're supposed to drink a crap ton of water, so wouldn't have any alcohol. I just have water. Chester's over here doing something. He's doing pretty well. He's a good dog. So yeah, guys, without further ado, let's just get into talking about movies because there's a whole bunch of movies I need to talk about. In fact, I don't think I'm gonna have enough time to get them all in because I like to try to keep these a half hour around that, so it's not overly boring and bearing, you know? So let's just start talking about movies, shall we? First movie is Steve Jobs. I have been in the Seth Rogan movie marathon kind of kick thing, and Seth Rogan is in this movie. He plays Steve Wozniak, based on true characters. We all know who Steve Jobs is. So yeah, this movie is essentially 3 different days. They're 3 different events before products are launched by Apple. And that's about it. That's really all there is to it. It's 3 different moments in Steve Jobs' life where he is introducing an Apple product. And it's very dramatized. There's a lot that happens before each and every single one of these events that seem to happen that probably shouldn't happen before an event like this. Just a lot of drama right before going on stage. It seems a bit ridiculous, but this is a dramatization of it, and it is very beautifully done. Aaron Sorkin wrote the script for this one, directed by Danny Boyle, so it is beautifully directed. This is a movie, however, very much just people talking in hallways, in rooms, in backstage, just talking, and that's essentially what this movie is. So if that's not exactly your kind of movie, you might find this boring. I've watched this movie, 3, 4, 5 times. I remember seeing it in theaters. And it is really interesting. Once you have watched it before, I will say, this time watching it around, I was not fully as engrossed with this one, because I do remember pretty much everything that happened in it. It's not that old of a movie. It came out, 2015, 16, something like that, I think. So it's not like it's an old movie. I've seen it enough times to know what exactly goes on with it and such like that. So it is beautifully casted all the way around. I remember seeing this in theaters and going, who the heck is Kate Winslet in this movie? Thinking that Kate Winslet's character was Joan Cusack for the first 2 events. The last one I could tell it was her. I went, oh, that's Kate Winslet. Holy cow, her makeup is great. So kudos to the makeup. Let's see. What else can I say? It is unique in the sense that it is just essentially 3 different days with years in between. It is very unique in that sense. And like I said, there's just a lot of convenient things that happen. Would Steve Jobs' ex-girlfriend be coming to him with his possible daughter? Well, with his daughter. It's very clear that it's his daughter. Would she be doing that an hour before an Apple event? I don't know if that exactly would make sense. I don't think that happened in real life, but you never know. Like I said, if you're not a dialogue-heavy person, this is not going to be the movie for you. So go into this movie knowing that. This is something I enjoyed the many times I've watched it. It is still, in a sense, a very interesting movie to watch, even though it is just talking. Everyone does such a great job, including Seth Rogan. This is probably his best performance, and he hasn't done a lot of dramatic performances. This one was dramatic, and it's great. He does such a great job in this role, and I really enjoy this movie. I would say this movie is maybe a bit too long. This movie's a little over 2 hours, and there's only 3 scenes, essentially. I think it would have been a lot better, a little bit of a better, tighter movie if each scene maybe was like 30 minutes instead of 45 minutes. And I think maybe this would have been a little bit better movie. I think this would have been a movie that should have been about 90 minutes, and that's about it. But other than that, I really enjoy this movie. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. Very well done. Even though Michael Fassbender really doesn't look like Steve Jobs, he does a great job portraying Steve Jobs. Next up, guys, Death on the Nile. This is a movie we watched for Film Club, and what was the category? Movies where the director is in the movie, I believe is what it was, which is Kenneth Branagh. He directed this movie. He is the main star of the movie. I remember seeing this in theaters and going, it's okay. Watching it at home, even with my film group, I realized this movie is borderline. It's I don't know if I want to say it's pretty bad. I mean, it's borderline bad. I don't know what to call this one, guys. First of all the acting in this movie is bad. Besides Kenneth Branagh, I would say Gal Gadot is terrible. Armie Hammer is absolutely terrible. Letitia Wright is obnoxiously bad, in my opinion. Russell Brand, he's a doctor. There's no way in Sam Hill I'd buy him as a doctor. I was laughing at just the thought of him being a doctor. Yeah, I mean, even Annette Bening's in this movie. She just comes off as bad. It doesn't work. Acting's just all around terrible. And I think Kenneth Branagh's kind of trying to go for that, but it does not work. There is really bad green screen in this movie as well. So many different times you know that they are actually in California or London in a big studio warehouse making this movie and not actually in these locations, and it just looks terrible. So bad. Oh, excuse me. Kenneth Branagh is a really weird director. We were talking about this in Film Club. He does weird blocking and camera angles and stuff like that, weird close-ups and just stuff that doesn't work. And he uses, I believe, the same cinematographer almost every time. I forget again. I gotta start doing better with getting names, and I keep forgetting. But I think he's used the same cinematographer quite a few different times. It just doesn't ever look good. It's weird and annoying. And I think it's Kenneth Branagh trying to do something unique and different. It doesn't work, though. It just looks crappy, in my opinion. The Armie Hammer situation. I usually can forget about the fact that this person's done bad things. Ezra Miller in The Flash coming up. I'm going to be able to forget the fact that Ezra Miller has possibly done all the things that they have done. The difference with this one, it was hard for me to ignore the Armie Hammer thing, just because in so many different scenes, he's doing these highly sexualized dances and different things with different actresses, and it was hard for me to forget that. So Armie Hammer being in this movie did kind of take me out, and he is so bad at it. Oh, excuse me. Good God Almighty. He's not good in it, not at all. What else can I say? Kenneth Branagh is the highlight of this movie. I will say that. He is the best part of this movie. He knows what movie he's in. He's directing it. And he's giving the best performance. He really is. This movie also this is a murder mystery. It takes over an hour for this 2-hour movie to get to the murder of it. And by then I'm just bored. I'm checked out and I don't care. So yeah, guys, it looks great enough. I would have enjoyed watching this in IMAX. Besides seeing the really bad green screen, I would have enjoyed seeing this in IMAX. It's cringy at times. It's just not the greatest. So yeah, while I don't, I'm not going to say I hate. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10. I reviewed this, I believe it was like my second episode of Code Man Movies. So I did talk about this earlier. I kind of want to go back and see what I said. I don't think I gave it a good review. I think I gave it like a 5 out of 10. It's a 4 out of 10 for me. It's not good. It's not good. Apologize, guys. I did not sleep well last night. It took a long time for me to get sleep. And then this guy over here, it took up most of my bed. He slept really well last night. He slept amazingly. I did not, because he was taking over the bed. I should have kicked him out, but I just can't do that. He was just so cute and peaceful. Next up, guys, again, continuing on with Seth Rogan movie marathon here. The Disaster Artist. This is a movie based on a book, which that book is based on an actual movie that was made called The Room. If you've not seen it, it's an interesting movie. It's one of the worst movies ever made. That's what it's famous for. And this movie is about the making of that movie. It is directed by James Franco, starring James Franco. Another person we don't really talk about anymore. Another movie, though, that I can kind of forgive it as I'm watching it, because James Franco does such a great job disappearing into this role. He does such a great job in this role. I believe he should have been nominated for this. It was during the Me Too time. I think that maybe was part of the reason why I didn't get nominated. And, you know, I understand. I'm glad he didn't get nominated in that sense. But I think he did such a great job in this movie. I really do. Dave Franco, his brother, plays Greg Sesterio. Plays the friend of Tommy Wiseau, played by James Franco. Seth Rogan is the, what is he? He is the producer kind of person. I don't know, he's a behind the scenes guy. Anyways, all of these people based on real people. And I really do love this movie. This was in my top 5 of 2017. I don't remember. I think Logan would have been number 1. Maybe this was number 2. I can't remember. I'd have to go back and look. But this was in my top 5, I believe, 2017. I really like this movie a lot. I love the opening where just random celebrities are talking about The Room and what they think it has meant to cinema, essentially. I really do think that's awesome. Again, all the acting in this movie is fantastic. Both the Francos are great. Rogan is great. There's like little cameos, I guess you'd say. Bryan Cranston does a great little cameo as himself. Bob Odenkirk plays like a butthead, I guess you could say. Zac Efron is in a small role, and he's my favorite part. He's freaking hilarious. Josh Hutcherson's in this movie. It does a great job. Marissa Tomei. I mean, so many great cameos. And not even really cameos. They're just small roles. And they're just great. And this movie's balance of tone, it is kind of a dramedy at times. This movie had a lot of issues. The Room had a lot of issues when it was being made. Tommy Wiseau famously had so many different people that quit on his set. There was like 3 different producers and blah, blah, blah. All these people came and went. He was very picky about certain things, this and that. And you see that in this movie. I guess it was almost even worse sometimes in real life. And it's very interesting. So yeah, if you've never seen The Room, maybe check this movie out. Watch The Room. Or if there's actual scenes from The Room in this movie. If you're thinking, nuh-uh, maybe don't. Watch this movie. It's such a good movie. I am actually going to read the book here real soon, I think. I wish, I need to get a physical copy of it. I can't get it from the library, which really sucks. So I might have to buy it. But it's just such an interesting story. Such an interesting movie about a movie. It really is great. The only thing I don't love about this movie is the ending. It is a little cheesy. And it definitely did not happen the way that it happens in this movie. Very different. It just a little too cheesy for my opinion. And I also love that this movie doesn't make fun of Tommy Wiseau. It is showing some of the things he did, some of the things that weren't exactly the greatest, and just how crazy of a man Tommy Wiseau is. But it's not really making fun of him. It's just telling this crazy story. And it's just insane. It really is. I really do want to read this book. I'm going to have to find it somewhere. So, yeah, definitely going to be talking about this book very soon, I think. So, yeah, guys, that is The Disaster Artist. Come on. Oh, went too far. Next up, guys, we are talking about Long Shot. Another Seth Rogan movie. This movie came out in 2019, I believe, and really solid romantic comedy. I absolutely enjoy this movie quite a bit. I didn't rate The Disaster Artist, did I? Disaster Artist, hold on, we're going back to Disaster Artist. I give this movie a 9 out of 10. Back to Long Shot. Really solid romantic comedy, guys. I really enjoy this movie. The opening of this movie is a little too ridiculous. The whole neo-Nazi club thing that Seth Rogen's at. And then he jumps out of what? What is that, 5-6-story building, lands on a car. I don't understand why movies nowadays think cars are soft. They're hard. They hurt. No. That's not how it works. He's just got like an owie ankle, and he's walking on it the next day, so he's fine. It's not even sprained or nothing. As someone who just sprained his ankle falling down some steps, BS. So I hate that opening. Bob Odenkirk, we just talked about him from Disaster Artist. He's in a smaller role for this. He's absolutely great. Andy Serkis has a small role in this. He's great. Lisa Kudrow was in a small role in this. She's great. All the small little roles are really great in this movie. You're such a dork. Charlize Theron, absolutely great. She doesn't get to do enough comedy. We don't realize how funny of a woman she is. She is a hilarious woman. I love her to death. Seth Rogen is always, he's kind of the same person in every single movie, but it works for him. It works. He's funny. The chemistry that these two have too is just fantastic. You totally buy that they were, babysitter and babysittery. I don't know what you want to call it. The sitter, the child. I don't know. Anyways, you totally buy this, and you can totally buy their romance. She is so serious and political, blah blah blah. Needs some comedy in her life, essentially. He is all comedy and needs some serious. It just totally works. So many great little scenes in this. One of my favorites, though, is the Marvel scene. They're watching Captain America: The Winter Soldier in German or something, because that's where they're at. And it's the scene where Nick Fury gets shot. And she's like, oh my God, no, the pirate guy, he was my favorite character. And she's like, no, don't worry about it. Just keep watching. You'll see what happens. And I absolutely love that. I love the scene with the bombing going on where they're in the shelter. I love the scene where this kind of scene, really, when they are out at the club on Molly and going crazy, and she has to negotiate with a terrorist, is great. It's just great. What else? The whole thing with the relationship and the political aspect of it, I totally see that happening in real life. How we might be so freaked out by a political candidate having the boyfriend, the husband, the wife, whatever, of someone like Seth Rogen. I mean, I totally would see that being controversial and an issue, which is silly, really, at the end of the day. But it is interesting because it feels very true to life. What else? I already talked about that. I think this movie does a really good job of balancing political kind of stuff with comedy. Again, I think Seth Rogen's movies do a pretty good job of balancing tones when it's not just straight on comedy. I think it does a great job with that as well. It does go on a little too long. It's 2 hours. It does not need to be 2 hours. I think it's going to be an hour 30, hour 45 for sure. Great soundtrack as well. Seth Rogen's movies also have really great soundtracks. Something I didn't mention about Disaster Artist. Great soundtrack with that one. So yeah, guys, I'm going to give this one, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It's pretty solid. A little too long, little bit too much at times. Not all the jokes necessarily hit, and just that opener drives me nuts too. Chester's going to make a cameo, isn't he? Can you see Chester right now? Is Chester in the star? Is Chester photobombing? Well, he's not photobombing. He's allowed. Oh, there's that big head. Look at that big head. Yes, my boy. He's such a good dog, guys. I love this dog. He's a good dog. Yes, you are. You good dog. You good dog. Good dog. Okay. Next up, guys, is 65. This movie's been out for a few weeks now, and I haven't, I didn't take the time to see it because I heard terrible things. And I'll be honest, the trailers were not really getting me that much. It is the writers from A Quiet Place, though, so I eventually had to go see it. What I will say is this movie is boring as hell, which is crazy. Looking at that poster, there's a T-Rex. Adam Driver is fighting a T-Rex. I mean, it sounds awesome, right? So why isn't it good? It's boring as hell, that's why. No character development at all. There's just people, and they have one thing, you know. Adam Driver is going home, trying to get home to his family. Little girl here trying to get home to her family. That's about all you get. And the entire movie is pretty much just walking around. Occasionally, yes, there is a dinosaur, and he shoots it with his gun, and they're just pretty much dead. That's pretty much how it goes. It's also weird at times, too. It feels like certain scenes are kind of missing. There's a scene where they're, like, in this cave, and they're trying to get out of this cave, and the girl crawls through this hole, and she's stuck, but then she's just out the next scene. Like, how did she get out? I guess she crawled to the end of the hole. That's why they were crawling in the hole in the first place. So I guess I get that one. But then Adam Driver, he's walking through the cave, trying to find a way out, fights a dinosaur, and then he's just out the next scene. It's like, okay, how did you get out? You've just found a way out? How did that work? It just didn't work for me. Dinosaurs, for the most part, look great. Like, the special effects work for the most part in this movie. There's also moments that they suck, and the action isn't always great. This girl and Adam Driver's character too, they speak different languages, and he does little things, and she just seems to get it and completely understand, which sorry, I don't buy that. You need to do more than just to get, what he's doing in this movie is not enough for her to understand. Lots of jump scares too. The dinosaurs, of course, pop out at the spots where it's dark and blah, blah, blah. You totally see it coming. I also think this movie kind of just has too much going on at times. It's trying to be this end of the world situation. It's trying to be with the dinosaurs. It's trying to be sci-fi kind of crap. It's doing a lot. And I don't think it does a very good job on it. Some very convenient things going on, like I said, with like language and such like that. And there's not enough. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a twist kind of towards the beginning of the movie that doesn't need to be there. Well, no, the twist is at the beginning of the movie, and it should be more like towards the end, and it's at the beginning. It literally just kind of like spoils the movie for you, essentially, in a sense. And it makes it very predictable and dumb. And then there's just also kind of a lot of questions, like, what is going on? Why is he doing this? Why are they going to where they're going? Like, why? Why is this all happening, essentially? Just a lot of questions, too, at the end of the day. It's only 90 minutes. It felt like 2-3 hours. It felt long. It feels very long. Not what I'll recommend. Would it be fun if you were drunk? Sure, maybe. It's not a good movie, though, guys. I'm going to give this one like a 4 out of 10. It's not very good. We're still doing all right on time here, so let's continue. Next up, guys, Lion King 2019. I saw this movie in 2019 in theaters and swore I'd never watch it again, but yet here I am, because I'm doing a Seth Rogan movie marathon. Guys, what can I say about this movie? It looks beautiful. Jon Favreau put a lot of love and care into this movie. However, it's almost shot for shot the exact same as the original movie, except it cuts out good parts to add in dumb parts. Not a lot of singing in this movie, but the songs are still there in a sense. Be Prepared is like completely taken out and instead is like talked. Like, there's a lot of songs that are just kind of talked. Like, be prepared, be prepared. And it's terrible. It doesn't work. There's a scene with poop in this movie that was not in the original. And it just, it's like 5 minutes long, and it's too much, and it's ridiculous, and it's dumb. It just goes on way too long, and it's just ridiculous. I will say the biggest positive for me was Pumbaa in this movie. I thought Seth Rogan was a great job as Pumbaa. He's the perfect voice for Pumbaa. I think I would prefer the original still, but hey, I would say he's tied. Yeah. Everybody else in this movie too just sounds very tired. James Earl Jones is Mufasa again, and it sounds like he's sleeping. Whereas the first one was like, remember, Simba, you are my son. This one's like, remember, Simba, you are my son. And it just sounds terrible. It doesn't work. And that's everyone. I mean, John Oliver, I can't even see everyone's name because this poster sucks. Donald Glover, Chiwetel Ejiofor is the worst. They all just sound bored and like they don't want to be doing what they're doing. And that brings me to my next thing. This is it's technically still a fully animated movie, but it looks live action. When a lion's angry, it looks like this. When a lion is sad, it looks like this. When a lion is happy, it looks like this. So, therefore, when Simba is doing the big no, in the cartoon he looks devastated. In the movie he's just going no, and it does not help that the actor doing his voice is going no, like he's sleeping. It just doesn't work at all. There's no emotion to this. I feel like it feels lifeless. Even though it looks live action, it feels lifeless. Does it look cool? Yeah, but it feels so nothing. Rafiki's barely in this movie, and he's such a cool character in the original. He's nothing. He's just nothing in this movie. And at the end of the day, my biggest thing about this movie is I just would rather watch the original. It's shorter. It's better. Things like I just can't wait to be king sequence. In the animated one, it's beautiful. It's vibrant. It's colorful. This one is not really that colorful. It's live action, and it's Simba walking underneath a zebra going, I just can't wait to be king. It's terrible. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Lots of fart jokes in this one. Lots of fart and poop jokes in this, and it just didn't need to be. Guys, this movie's just not too great. It's very boring. Also, on Disney Plus, it says 2 hours and 7 minutes. The movie is only 1:40 minutes. There's like 20 minutes of credits in this movie. Holy shit. Which makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of work that went into this movie, considering they made an animated movie look live action. So yeah, guys, I don't like this movie. Just go watch the original. 4 out of 10. Is it bad? No, but just go watch the original. It's so much better. It really is. What are we on time here? I think we're still doing fine. Oh yeah, don't look at that. Don't look at that. Okay, so next up, guys, we're going to talk about Tetris. New movie that came out. It is based on the true story of a man who wanted to get Tetris into Game Boys and stuff. He wanted to, get Tetris out into the world because it was made by, was it Russia? I forget. Some foreigner who couldn't do it because of rules in the country. This is a very interesting movie. I didn't know any of this at all. It's a very interesting story. It's a lot more political than I thought it was going to be, and more businessy than I thought it was going to be. Towards the beginning, more than anything, the movie's very dark. Didn't love necessarily the look of it. The cinematography was not the greatest in my opinion. Lots of exposition towards the beginning too that I didn't love. Just lots of exposition dump. Taron Egerton, as always, is just great. He's such a great actor. He's underrated in my opinion. I really enjoyed this movie. I didn't love it as much as I actually thought I was going to. Lots of interesting creative choices. Like there's a car chase towards the end of this movie, and parts of it go Tetris-y into video gaming looking things, and it didn't need to do that. It was a good car chase, and it should have just been kept that way. and instead it does weird Tetris things, and it doesn't do that for like the first half of the movie. It's just this last car chase sequence for some reason. I don't know if it was hide action, hide a lower budget. I don't know, but it was a choice that didn't need to be in there. I would say this movie is a little bit long too, just teeny tiny bit shorter, 10-15 minutes. At the end of the day, it is a very, excuse me, it's a very interesting story. It's a very cool story in a sense, and to know how much effort went into this game that I have been playing since I've been watching this movie. I downloaded Tetris app. I have been playing it nonstop. God, I love Tetris. It's so much fun. It's a classic game. I just did not know all this stuff, and it was really interesting in that aspect. However, this just wasn't my favorite in the entire world. I'll never rewatch this one again, I don't think. It was just not the greatest. It is on Apple TV Plus, though. If you're looking for a 2-hour movie to watch, maybe check this one out. It is good, though. I'm going to recommend it. I'm not going to say it's a bad movie. I think it got bogged down a little bit in too much business and too much political kind of stuff. Not my cup of tea. So I'll give this one like a 7 out of 10. It's still really good. I just don't see myself ever rewatching this. What are we at? And we're going to go a little bit overboard, because I at least want to talk about these next 2 movies, at least. Next 3 movies. So we're going to go kind of quick, but I'm going to get through these last ones because a couple movies I really want to talk about. Next up, guys, I watched Freaky Friday. This is just a movie I had watched quite a bit in my childhood. I remember watching it for the first time in middle school in our auditorium on the big projector screen, and I just remember all of us were laughing. It was a great middle school movie to watch. Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan do such a great job in this movie. However, it's a Switch movie, and in Switch movies, you find that the older person plays the younger person as like a child, and the younger person plays the older person as too much of an adult. And that totally happens in this movie. Jamie Lee Curtis is just being a total woman child. It's like, she's like, I'm getting paid to be a child, I'm going to be a child. But it's funny, it's hilarious. Jamie Lee Curtis is just hilarious. The scene where she's on the talk show, the scene where they're at the Chinese restaurant, she's just so great in this movie. It's just fun. The relationship also feels very realistic. I can totally see, first of all, being a teenager is difficult. Losing your father and seeing your mother move on fairly quickly, that could be something difficult. And I can totally see the tension there with that. What else can I say? The montages with Jamie doing her shopping, doing the therapy. Just Jamie is just the highlight of this movie. While I'm glad Jamie won an Oscar for Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think this is really like her best performance. She is hilarious in this movie. She does so great. So many lines where she's just like, so we're stuck in the suck fest. She does such a great job. I just love her. Wait, you read her diary? Oh, Bad Mom Award. I love that. And she just does such a great job. There's also questions I have about this movie though. Like, so how does these fortune cookies work? How did it get magical? Why do the Chinese just magical? I don't understand that necessarily, but it totally works. Some conveniences, like Jake is working at the detention spot, helping technically mom cheat on the test. Well, not cheat, but finish her test. And then he's like, well, I'm late for my second job. He goes to his second job. Mom, aka daughter, comes to the coffee shop where he's working. He has time to drink coffee with her and sit at a table and then leave, which he was late to that job, so he got to leave early to go bring mom, daughter home. A little too convenient. And then there's like the scene where he's singing Hit Me Baby One More Time to her outside. His motorcycle's parked right there. They didn't hear the motorcycle pop up. That was a loud motorcycle. It's Ducati. I mean, no. So there's certain things that are just kind of convenient, but it's a Disney movie. This is a good Disney movie, in my opinion. This is such a great mom-daughter relationship. I love the relationship between her and her brother. this is such a good movie. I laugh every time. There's some heart in it. Is it the greatest in the world? No, but I love it. And Jamie Lee Curtis, she's just amazing. She's just incredible. I'm going to give this one, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoy this one quite a bit, guys. And I rewatched this a lot in my childhood. And I rewatched it a few times as an adult, too. Next up, guys, now we're going to talk a couple big movies. Movies that are out in theaters this week or were out in theaters last week, and I just haven't had a chance to talk about them yet because I'm a slacker. First up, we have Air. I got to see this at a special showing a few days ago, actually. A little early. But anyways, guys, true story about Nike trying to get Michael Jordan to be associated with them, to partner with them, to wear their shoes. And this is such an interesting, awesome movie. Ben Affleck directed this movie as well as acting in it. He does such a great job with this, and I absolutely think he does such a great job as director and actor. Excuse me. Excuse me again. Matt Damon, also in this movie, does such a great job as Sonny, kind of the man who gets the Jordans involved. Jason Bateman's in this movie. Chris Tucker. Marlon Williams is in a small cameo. He does such a great job. When he's not doing stupid stuff, he does a great job, Marlon Williams. And then Viola Davis is also in this with her actual husband, too, which is awesome. All around, just beautifully acted. I didn't realize how funny this movie was going to be. It is pretty freaking funny. I really enjoyed it. And it's just really, really good. Screenplay is Alex Convery. First ever screenplay. He did such a great job with it. The tone is kind of like a Moneyball vibe mixed with a teeny tiny bit of like Wolf of Wall Street. And even some of the cinematography by Robert Richardson is absolutely fantastic. See, I got some names. It's mostly just newer movies, I guess I remember it. Affleck does a great job too of not really making this a Michael Jordan movie, even though it is heavily associated with him. We kind of just see the back of him for like a few minutes. It's mostly these people on the poster here, and these are the only people that really matter, and it's totally awesome. It brings a lot of attention, for the Jordans at least, towards his mother, who really is calling the shots, it seems like, and really pulling for Michael. And Viola Davis is just great. We all know this by now. What else do I got here? I also just kind of find this movie really inspiring. It is a movie about pushing hard, believing in yourself, believing in others, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. It's very inspiring, and I was surprised by it being that. I didn't necessarily think it was going to be that. I will say this movie has a lot of 80s references. There's a lot of 80s songs. I don't necessarily think they necessarily need to be in there. Some things just kind of feel a little too in your face at times. So maybe there's a little bit of too much of a love. We could have some of these things just in the background and it would be better, but it beats you over the head with it a little bit. Other than that, I don't have too many issues with this movie. I really found this movie to be really good, inspiring, beautifully acted, beautifully directed. The cinematography is fantastic. There's a lot of great kind of like swivel scenes when people are just talking. There's a lot of talking in this movie too as well. Similar to Steve Jobs, but they're actually going in other places and such like that. So I really enjoyed this movie. I highly recommend this movie this week. Please check it out. I also am going to recommend Paint. Paint is out in theaters right now. Well, no, Friday. And it's getting terrible reviews. I loved Paint. It's got a funny or Die kind of feel to it. It does have a goofy kind of SNL-y kind of thing to tone to it, but I loved it. I thought it had some heart and was a really enjoyable movie. It's getting terrible reviews. It's like at 30% on the tomato meter right now. I don't think it's that bad. I think you should check out that one. Tell me if I'm crazy. I saw it at a special early showing for Regal. Maybe it was just because I got to see it a few weeks early. I don't know. I loved it though. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go see it again to make sure I'm not going crazy, because I loved it. I laughed my butt off. It had a kind of Anchorman kind of vibe to it. I really liked it. But yeah. So yeah, that's the movie I'm really gonna recommend. But definitely go see Air as well. This is definitely a movie that should be seen in theaters. It's an Amazon movie. So Amazon could have put it straight to Prime. They didn't. There's good reason for that, because it's a good movie. People should see it in a theater. Go see it in a theater. Support theaters. Support movies. Support good movies in theaters. Go to the theater. We don't need straight streaming. I hate that. Don't like streaming. Last movie we're gonna do for today, guys, because we're going a little even overboard as it is. What are we at? 40 minutes. Yeah. Last one, and we will be done here. Where'd it go? Found it. Last one we're talking about is Dungeons and Dragons, guy. The Dungeons and Dragons, guys. I gotta tell you, I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons fan. It's a little too nerdy for me. I like fantasy, like Harry Potter. This stuff goes a little too far for me. I feel stupid reading it, watching it, playing it. I've never actually played it, but it just not my cup of tea. So I've never played it. I have nothing about it really. So I went in hearing it's amazing, and I will say this: it's a really good movie, guys. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. It is from the directors of Vacation and Game Night. They also co-wrote Spider-Man: Homecoming. So they do have a couple good movies under the belt. Vacation's a terrible movie. Excuse me, I'm having burping issues today. But yeah, they have an interesting track record, I would say that. Special effects in this movie are absolutely garbage. I will say that. There's some really bad special effects. There's some also cool things that they do with special effects. They tried to use their budget as best as they can. This movie has a budget of $150 million. It feels like it should have had a budget of like $250 million. But the studio's like, this is kind of a risk, which we've seen at the box office. It kind of has been a risk. We'll see what happens in the upcoming weeks. But, yeah, so special effects are nothing great. It's the characters, though, and the story that really work. All these characters are really, every character you see on this poster here are just, they're great. Even Michelle Rodriguez, she has an interesting story. There's a cameo in this movie that involves her that was great. That at first you see this person from afar, and I went, is that who I think it is? And then it gets closer and go, oh my God, that's who I think it is. Oh my God, this is awesome. Totally great. It Girl, she's awesome. Jurassic World, all I do is scream person guy, he's great. Chris Pine's great. Hugh Laurie, who's been a dick on the carpets lately and the Oscars, whatever, great as well. He knows what movies and it's over the top. He's ridiculous, but it's great. That guy, I don't know who that guy is, but he's great too in a smaller role. The story is fairly predictable. There's things that happen towards the end of this movie that I went, no, that's going to happen, and that's going to happen. Totally knew what was going to happen. But again, the characters are fun. All the actors are doing a great job with their roles. I will also say this. Michelle Rodriguez's character is Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. She's kind of an idiot at times, but she kicks butt. Yeah, there's a couple moments where I'm like, well, you are... It has a very Guardians of the Galaxy kind of vibe to it. I will say that. So yeah, I was definitely thinking Guardians of the Galaxy as I watched this. And maybe it's because the trailer for the third one came on before this movie started. I don't know. But yeah, it definitely has that kind of vibe. It's an action, comedy, fantasy. Lots of comedy in this, guys. I definitely laughed quite a bit. The theater was laughing quite a bit. I saw this in IMAX. I recommend it. It was pretty awesome. It is great to see a movie on a huge screen. It really is. I'm going to be seeing Super Mario Bros. This week, probably in that IMAX, because it is. It's a great experience to see in the theater. The big screen. It has vibes of Lord of the Rings also with it, mixed with some James Bond, weirdly enough, and like some Indiana Jones. Lots of interesting movie vibes, mixed with Guardians of the Galaxy. I was thinking of a lot of different movies as I was watching this, and it was interesting. So yeah, it is a great little comedy as well. I wasn't expecting it to be a comedy, and has some great moments. Well, I did expect it to be a comedy. I take it back. The trailers were showing it that way. And I did see the one trailer for this one. And I will say the trailer did spoil too much. So if you haven't seen trailers yet, don't watch trailers because it spoils way too much. It spoils a really great scene in the graveyard. A scene when they're handcuffed. It spoils a little too much. Some really great scenes that just shouldn't have been in the trailers, in my opinion. But guys, this is a really great movie. Did I rate the last movie? What was the last movie? Air. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Yes, I did. Dungeons & Dragons, guys, I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. It's a pretty dang good movie. It's not one I'm going to rewatch a lot, I don't think. It's just not my cup of tea. A little too much. Too many wizards and such like that. But it's a fun movie, and I recommend it. It did not do so great at the box office. This is another movie I would say support. Paramount's going to put this on Paramount Plus very soon, I'm sure of it. And I don't like that. See it in a theater. So yeah, guys, we are going to end it there. I might do a review or another video here towards the end of the week because I have 5 other movies now that I have not talked about. So I definitely want to talk about those, such like that. But yeah, it's also my birthday on Friday, so we'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens. We'll see where I'm at, what I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, guys, we've gone overtime. So I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, all that crap. Let me know what you want to see, what you want me to talk about, blah, 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 blah. All the same jizz. I apologize for Chester snoring. This is what I have to deal with every night. This is why I'm not getting sleep, but it's worth it. So yeah, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. Keep doing the things that you do. Keep being happy. Have a good one. Bye.